The Li family was not ancient nobility, but their prestige shone brighter than many who were. Their fortune was built on trade, specializing in four cornerstones of the empire's luxury: shimmering silk, intricate jade and gold jewelry, rare aged teas, and the finest Qing-style ceramics. The emperor, ever mindful of the state's coffers, had recognized the Li family's unparalleled business acumen, granting them a coveted noble title. They were nobles of the marketplace, a family respected for their wealth and feared for their foresight. At the heart of this gilded existence was Li Wei, the only son of his father's first concubine, who had since been promoted to the primary wife after a swift, severe lesson taught to the original wife about the price of domestic discord. Wei was exquisite, a word often reserved for fine porcelain or prized calligraphy. His face was delicately structured, framed by soft, dark hair, and his eyes held a liquid, innocent beauty. But beneath the pretty exterior lay a financial mind sharp as any abacus. He had inherited his father's talent for numbers and strategy, yet he remained fundamentally timid and deeply naive about the world outside their high-walled compound. He was 19 and had long suspected his heart belonged not in a delicate silk wedding dress, but in the company of men. Wei's father, the strict patriarch, had fostered a household of disciplined harmony. There was no petty infighting because any hint of scandal or favoritism was dealt with swiftly and impartially. All his children, including the girls, were educated, ensuring they would contribute value whether they managed a branch or married into another family. Wei adored his sisters and stepsisters. They were his confidants, especially since he could discuss his quiet, unconventional yearnings with them. His mother, calm and clever, nurtured his talents, particularly his skill in calligraphy and accountancy. Having recently finished his schooling, Wei was now tasked with managing the account books and overseeing the finances of one of the Li family's primary silk shops, a perfect fit for his precision. One crisp autumn morning, a commission of unusual importance required the presence of the Li patriarch at the Zhang blacksmith shop. The Li family needed several complex, secure strong boxes and ceremonial daggers for an upcoming trade expansion. Wei was included, along with two of his elder stepbrothers, to familiarize himself with the procurement process. The Zhang blacksmith was renowned. Their steel was legendary, their craft the finest in the entire kingdom. The main shop was a marvel of dark, oiled wood and hanging weaponry, but Wei's attention soon drifted. While his father and brothers negotiated with the elder Zhangs, a stout man and his sharp-eyed wife, Wei slipped away. The rhythmic clang of a hammer pulled him like a physical string toward the backyard. He stopped, mesmerized. The heat of the forge was a living thing, smelling of coal smoke and hot metal. Standing before the glowing heart of the fire was Zhang Chen, the son of the master. He was tall, his shoulders broad, and his torso sculpted by years of swinging the heavy hammer. His thick cotton tunic was soaked through with sweat, clinging to the powerful curve of his back and chest. Every strike of the hammer was a dance of brute force and exquisite control. The muscles in his forearms and biceps flexed and released, taut as bowstrings. Wei stared, his breath catching in his throat. It wasn't just the sheer masculine power, it was the dedication, the elemental artistry of turning fire and iron into something functional and beautiful. Zhang Chen's profile, strong and handsome, was shadowed by the work yet illuminated by the angry orange light of the forge. He looks like a god of war and fire, Wei thought, the heat on his cheeks having nothing to do with the forge. Zhang Chen had an instinct for the rhythm of his work, but also for when that rhythm was broken. He sensed the stillness behind him, a presence that was soft and intensely focused. He lowered the hammer, dropped the glowing iron back into the coal bed, and turned. His eyes, dark and deep, landed on Li Wei. Wei froze, his face flushing crimson. He hadn't just been looking, he had been devouring the sight. Zhang Chen smiled, wiping a smudge of soot from his brow with the back of a hand the size of a teacup. His voice was deep, a low rumble like the breathing of the bellows. "Apologies, young master," Zhang Chen said, leaning against the anvil, making his form even more imposing. "You should be careful. The fire bites those who get too close without asking." Wei stammered, pulling his expensive robes closer. I apologize. I was admiring your work. It is captivating." "Captivating," Chen chuckled, the sound rich and genuine. "Most people find it just loud and dirty." "Not at all," Wei insisted, feeling a nervous boldness rise. "The way you control the metal, it is beautiful, like a raw spirit being tamed by strength. I am Li Wei, of the Li merchant family." Chen straightened, offering a hand that was calloused but surprisingly warm. Wei hesitated for only a second before placing his soft, pale hand in the blacksmith's grip. "Zhang Chen," he introduced himself, "and you, young Master Li, are too beautiful to be anywhere near this soot. You look like you would shatter if I spoke too loud." Wei's blush deepened, but he managed a witty reply, recalling one of his sister's teasing lines. "Shatter? Perhaps, but fine ceramics require the hottest fire to achieve their permanence, Master Zhang. Looks can be deceiving." Chen's eyes lit up, his smile widening into a grin that made Wei's knees feel weak. "Ah, a fine retort. I see now that your beauty is not simply delicate, it has fire. Tell me, Master Li, do you frequent the forges often?" "Only when my father brings me. I usually deal with the accounts, not the procurement. But I will certainly remember this visit." Before their flirtation could blossom further, a voice cut through the air. "Wei, where have you wandered off to? We're leaving." It was his father, his voice crisp and demanding. Wei quickly pulled his hand back, bowing. "I must go, Master Zhang. Farewell." Chen only nodded, his gaze lingering on Wei's retreating figure. "Until the next order, Li Wei," he murmured, his voice now quieter, charged with a promise. Over the next few weeks, Li Wei found it impossible to concentrate on his silk ledgers. The image of Zhang Chen, powerful and sweaty, beside the blazing forge, was burned into his mind like a brand. Finally, the day arrived when the strongboxes were finished. Wei's second elder stepbrother, Li Qin, a practical and slightly impatient man, was assigned to go with Wei to make the final payment. When they arrived, Li Qin quickly handled the transaction with the elder Zhangs. Wei tried to keep his attention focused, but his eyes searched for Zhang Chen. "There you are, pretty one," a deep voice greeted him from the doorway, and Wei's heart leapt. Zhang Chen was standing there, slightly cleaner than before, but still emanating that irresistible aura of physical power. He carried a small, intricately carved wooden box. "Master Zhang," Wei replied, trying to sound formal but failing as a small, genuine smile spread across his face. "Your calligraphy set is ready, Master Li. It was a personal touch I added to your family's order, a tribute to the man who knows the difference between strength and beauty." Wei opened the box. Inside was a set of custom-made metal seals, the carving precise and deep. He was genuinely touched. "Master Zhang, this is too much. You didn't have to." "Consider it a trade. I have a problem that needs a mind sharper than any blade I've ever forged, and I know exactly who possesses it." He lowered his voice, conspiratorially. "Our business is growing rapidly, but my father still keeps the books using methods from 20 years ago. We need help organizing the accounts, forecasting materials, and, frankly, making sure we're not being cheated by unscrupulous suppliers." He looked Wei straight in the eye, the intention behind the request unmistakable. "Stay. Spend time with me." Wei instantly understood. He turned to Li Qin, who was already heading toward the exit. "Brother Qin, I need to stay for a while longer. Master Zhang has requested a brief consultation on his accounts. It's an interesting financial case study. I believe it would be valuable for my experience." Li Qin, always focused on efficiency, shrugged. "Fine, but don't be late for the evening meal, Wei. Father doesn't tolerate excuses." As soon as Li Qin's pelican disappeared down the road, the formal distance between Wei and Zhang evaporated.
"You're a terrible liar, Li Wei," Chen teased, leading him into the small, clean office adjacent to the forge. "Only when inspired," Wei retorted, blushing again but feeling a thrill of excitement. The office was simple: a wooden desk, a shelf of ledgers, and a massive map detailing trade routes. Chen introduced him to his family, who were kind, earthy, and welcoming. "My parents, the master and mistress Jiang," Chen said, "and this," he added, pulling Wei closer with a hand on his shoulder, "is Li Wei, the financial genius who is going to help us." The Jiangs were delighted to have the noble merchant's son offer his expertise. Wei, feeling the warmth of the touch and the genuine acceptance from the family, felt his initial timidity melt away. He spent the next 3 hours not just advising, but truly organizing the Jiang family's books. He showed them how to optimize raw material purchasing, project inventory needs, and diversify their customer base beyond the usual noble commissions. Chen watched, fascinated, as Wei's shy demeanor was replaced by the confidence of a true financial master. "You are truly amazing, Li Wei. You see patterns where I only see numbers." Wei looked up, his eyes shining. "And you, Jiang Chen, see beauty and function where I only see a lump of ore. We are two sides of the same coin." Wei knew he needed a legitimate reason to continue his visits. The next morning, he approached his father in the study, making his request with careful logic. "Father, my work in the silk shop is running smoothly, but I feel I could broaden my horizons," Wei began, laying out his papers neatly. "The Jiang blacksmiths, despite their reputation, are suffering from outdated accounting methods. I propose to take them on as a pro bono client, acting as their part-time financial advisor." His father, poring over a complex map of trade routes, raised an eyebrow. "A blacksmith? Why waste your time, waiter? They are fine craftsmen, but their business is small compared to ours." "Precisely, father. Their business model is entirely different. They focus on quality, not volume. Managing their finances would teach me the complexities of artisanal supply chains and direct craftsmanship costing. It would also create a deeper bond between our families, securing a superior source of specialized metalwork for our expanding needs." The patriarch considered this. He valued opportunity and initiative. "As long as your duties here are executed perfectly and you do not neglect your calligraphy practice, you may proceed. But be mindful of your noble status, Wei. You are not a common bookkeeper." "I understand, father. Thank you." Wei bowed deeply, a wave of relieved excitement washing over him. The arrangement worked perfectly. Twice a week, Wei would spend his afternoons at the forge, his fine silk robe a stark contrast to the dust and smoke. He would pore over the Jiang family ledgers, his mind sharp, his heart racing the moment Jiang Chen entered the office. Their interactions evolved quickly. They talked about everything: business, the history of iron, the philosophy of art, the subtle differences between a Ming vase and a Song vase, which Wei knew intimately. Chen confessed his exhaustion from the heavy labor. Wei admitted his anxiety over social gatherings. They laughed easily, their hands occasionally brushing when reaching for the same ledger or brush. Wei's sisters, catching the dreamy look in his eyes, quickly figured out the true nature of his consulting job. "Is Master Jiang as handsome as the rumors say, little brother?" asked Li Ming, his sharpest stepsister, one evening. "More," Wei whispered, a soft, wistful look on his face. "And he treats you well. He is respectful of your feelings," asked Li Xin, his youngest sister, known for her romantic tendencies. "He sees me, sisters. Not just my family's money or my status. He sees me," Wei confided. His sisters smiled, giving him their tacit blessing. They knew the restrictions of their world and treasured any genuine happiness for their gentle brother. His mother, quieter, simply watched. One afternoon, she offered him a small silk pouch embroidered with a subtle protective knot. "Be wise, Wei, and be safe, but never deny your own heart the warmth it needs." Weeks turned into months. The blacksmith shop flourished under the combined expertise of Chen's craftsmanship and Wei's financial management. The new strong boxes were a commercial success for the Li family, cementing the professional bond.
One evening, they were working particularly late. A shipment of rare, high-carbon steel had just arrived, and Wei was calculating the potential profits against the steep import duties. The rest of the Jiang family had retired, leaving the office lit only by a single oil lamp and the low, residual glow from the forge's banked coals. Wei yawned, stretching his arms high above his head. "I think that's all I can do tonight. My mind is turning to mush." Chen, who had been leaning against the doorframe, watching Wei with a look of intense, quiet longing, pushed off the wood and walked toward him. The scent of soap and iron, a mix of clean masculinity and work, enveloped Wei. "You worked too hard," Chen murmured, his voice husky. He reached out, not for the papers, but for Wei's face, gently brushing a stray lock of hair back from his temple. The simple touch sent a shockwave through Wei. He leaned into the palm, his eyes drifting shut. This was the moment they had been orbiting for months, the dangerous, beautiful crossing of the line. I didn't mean to be so forward that day in the forge," Wei whispered, his voice trembling slightly. Chen tilted Wei's chin up, forcing their eyes to meet. "And I didn't mean to stare at you every time you looked down at those books. But here we are, Li Wei, two fools with duties and titles that mean nothing to the desire in their hearts." He lowered his head slowly, deliberately. Wei didn't pull away. Instead, he rose slightly from his seat, meeting Chen halfway. The kiss was everything Wei had imagined, strong, warm, and utterly consuming. It wasn't the tentative peck of a courtship. It was the hungry, deep connection of two souls who had been waiting for this moment of stolen intimacy. Chen's lips were firm, tasting faintly of iron and breath mints he always kept nearby. Chen's large, calloused hands moved from Wei's face to his waist, pulling him up and flush against his powerful body. Wei gasped into the kiss, his small hands clutching Chen's tunic. He could feel the hard, muscled plane of Chen's chest against his own, and the sheer physicality of it was dizzying. Chen broke the kiss, resting his forehead against Wei's, his breaths mingling. "Beautiful fire," Chen muttered, his eyes dark with passion. Wei could only manage a choked sound, a mixture of pleasure and fear. He knew this was wrong in the eyes of the emperor, the family, and the entire kingdom, but his body was screaming, right. Chen scooped Wei into his arms and carried him through a hidden, curtained doorway adjacent to the office. This led to a small, private resting chamber, simply furnished, but featuring a comfortable, low-platform bed piled with thick quilts, a necessity for Chen when working through the cold nights. The silence of the night, broken only by their ragged breathing and the faint crackle of the embers from the main forge, made the intimacy feel profoundly private. Their love was discovered in the quiet chamber. Their hands, one soft and one hard, explored the new landscape of their shared desire. Chen was tender, treating Wei's body with the reverence of a precious, fragile treasure, yet guiding him with the confidence of a man who knew his strength. Wei, shedding his shyness in the face of absolute honesty, met Chen's intensity with a fierce, surprising need. It was the joining of opposites, the delicate merchant and the grounded blacksmith, the mind and the body, the silk and the steel. When they finally lay together, exhausted and entwined, Wei buried his face in Chen's strong shoulder, smelling the unique scent of him. "I am yours," Wei confessed, the words heavier and more meaningful than any promise of gold. Chen simply held him tighter. "I will guard your heart, my Wei-er, better than I guard the finest steel in the empire." Their late-night meetings became an urgent necessity. Wei perfected the art of the cover story, complex inventory audits, late-night ledger checks, meetings with remote suppliers. His father noticed the late hours, but seeing the exceptional clarity and increased profit margins in the Jiang blacksmith's books and the resulting benefits to the Li family, he said nothing, praising Wei's industrious spirit. However, secrets in a noble household are rarely kept completely. One afternoon, Wei was preparing to leave when his third stepsister, Li Rong, intercepted him. Rong was astute, with a sharp, slightly cynical wit. "Going to check on the artisanal supply chains again, brother?" she asked, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. Wei paled. "Wronger, I don't know what you mean." "Oh, I think you do," she said, lowering her voice. "The way you suddenly glow when you return, the sudden intense interest in the price of specialty iron. It is not the balance sheet that has captured your heart, Wei-er." She stepped closer, her expression shifting from teasing to serious. "I saw you once, from the palanquin, saying goodbye at the edge of the market. The way he looked at you. No man looks at a financial advisor like that way. I'm not judgmental, but are you aware of the danger?" Wei felt his stomach drop. "Wronger, please, if father knew—" "Father values stability above all things," Rong confirmed. "A political marriage for you would cement alliances. This is a scandal waiting to explode. A merchant nobleman and a common craftsman. It's impossible, legally and socially." "I don't care," Wei whispered fiercely, tears pricking his eyes. "I care more for his hand in mine than for all the silk in the empire." Rong sighed, pulling him into a hug. "Foolish, beautiful brother. All right, I am your shield. But you must be careful. Use the family business branch in the southern province as a constant excuse. Say you are preparing for a potential management position there. It gives you a reason to be unavailable and remote." Wei hugged her back tightly. His sisters truly were his anchors. One evening, about a year into their secret relationship, Jiang Chen invited Wei to dinner at his home. "It's nothing formal, just a simple meal with my parents and brother," he said, trying to be casual. Wei arrived nervous but determined. He was no longer just the customer, he was a potential part of their future. The dinner was warm, loud, and filled with hearty laughter. Chen's family treated Wei with sincere affection. His mother pressed the best cuts of meat into his bowl, and his father asked him genuine questions about the future of the silk trade. After the meal, as they sat, drinking tea, Chen's elder brother, a quiet, skilled smith named Jiang An, spoke up. "Young Master Li, you have done wonders for our family business. We are indebted to you, but I must be frank. What is your intention with my brother?" The air froze. Wei looked at Chen, who was tense, ready to jump in. Wei shook his head slightly, taking a deep breath. "Master An, I came to your family as a financial advisor. I found a connection here that transcends account ledgers. I love your brother, and I believe he loves me." I set down his teacup. "I know what I'm asking. I'm asking him to risk his family's honor and his reputation for a relationship the Empire would call an abomination. I'm asking him to forsake the comfort of a conventional life." Wei looked at Chen's parents. "I cannot offer a dowry or grandchildren. I can only offer my heart, my mind, and the entire wealth of my family's influence should he ever need it. But more than that, I promise you, I will never willingly cause your son pain. My loyalty to him is absolute." There was silence. Wei waited, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. Finally, Chen's mother, Mistress Chiang, reached across the table and took Wei's hand. Her eyes were warm. "Li Wei, you are a fine young man, and you speak with honor. My son is a man of fire and strength. He needs someone who is smart enough to match him and gentle enough to soothe him. I trust my son's heart, and if he has chosen you, then you are welcome in this family no matter what the world says." Chen, tears gathering in his eyes, walked over and pulled Wei up, embracing him tightly. The battle was won, not against the empire, but against the fear of rejection from the people they loved most. The next great hurdle was Li Wei's father. His mother, fully aware of the depth of Wei's love, prepared the way. "Husband," she said, carefully, during one of their private, rare moments of conversation, "our son is devoted to his work, but his heart is elsewhere. He does not desire a wife." The patriarch scowled. "Nonsense. He is merely shy. He will be married to the Minister of War's daughter by spring, securing us favorable trade tariffs." "He is not merely shy, husband. He is in love with Jiang Chen, the blacksmith," she stated plainly. The Li patriarch went silent. His face darkened, not in rage, but in cold, deep disapproval. "A craftsman? A commoner? I gave him noble title, education, and the family name, and he throws it all away for a scandalous obsession? I forbid it. He will be confined to the compound until he agrees to the marriage." Wei heard every word. He walked in, standing straight and tall, the timid boy gone, replaced by the confident man Chen had helped him become. "Father," Wei said calmly, "I respect your wish for the family's future, but I will not marry the minister's daughter. I would rather be banished, like the first wife, than live a lie that would ruin 3 lives, hers, mine, and Chen's." His father stared at him, seeing the steel in his son's eyes for the first time. It reminded him uncomfortably of his own ruthlessness in business. "You disappoint me, Wei," his father said finally, his voice heavy with resignation. "I cannot have a son who risks the family's noble name with such a glaring scandal." Wei's mother intervened softly. "He does not have to risk it publicly, husband. The Southern Province branch. You need a reliable manager to oversee the expansion into the new harbors. Wei is the most capable person for the financial complexities involved." The patriarch considered this. The Southern Province was 3 weeks' journey away, remote and far from the capital's conservative eyes. He could not force Wei to be what he was not, but he could certainly control the scandal. "Very well," his father declared, looking exhausted. "You will leave for the Southern Province branch. You will take the full manager's post. You will report back every month. Your connection to the Jiang Blacksmith family will be explained as securing a permanent dedicated supply of rare steel for the expansion." He looked at Wei, a finality in his voice. "You may live as you wish there, Wei, but you will not bring this shame back to the capital." It was not a blessing, but it was acceptance. It was freedom, purchased at the price of distance. The news was bittersweet. Wei prepared for his departure, packing his finest silks, his ledgers, and his beloved calligraphy brushes. His sisters cried, promised to visit, and even stuffed his luggage with small, humorous talismans for good luck. Jiang Chen, meanwhile, worked tirelessly. He saw the opportunity immediately. With the Li family's financial backing and Wei's managerial skills, the Jiang family decided to open a satellite forge in the southern province, establishing a new trade line for specialty steel. The 2 men rode out of the capital together, Wei in a respectable, simple carriage befitting a traveling manager, and Chen riding alongside on horseback, his hammer and tools secured. The southern province was a vibrant, less traditional place, bustling with foreign trade and a more relaxed social atmosphere. Wei took to his role instantly, managing the massive branch with the acumen his father always prized. Chen established the new Jiang Forge, making a name for himself by supplying the shipbuilders and the harbor defenses. They built a modest, beautiful home together on the outskirts of the port. a place where silk and steel lay side by side. Their life was simple, busy, and filled with deep, satisfying companionship. Wei would often sit in the forge office, organizing accounts while Chen worked, the rhythmic clang of the hammer now a comforting soundtrack to their life. Sometimes, late at night, Wei would read poetry aloud, his delicate voice a counterpoint to Chen's rough, appreciative chuckles. They had found their forbidden love not in the spotlight of the capital, but in the peaceful shadows of their own making. Wei's father, receiving monthly reports showing staggering profits from the southern province, eventually accepted that his son's unorthodox life was at least profitable for the family name. Wei and Chen remained loyal to their commitment, growing old together in the distant province. Two souls, one fire, one silk, perfectly complementary and utterly inseparable.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more BL stories.